Back to Burning River Bushcraft. It's early summer here and it's getting to be fishing time again. Now last year I did a ready man fishing card review and I simulated a situation where I didn't have any gear, just my 10-piece kit in that card. So I ended up making a small cane pole. I'm in the mood to make another cane pole. I like to use one out around the house, especially around kids. The problem I have with them is the length. So of course they sell commercial cane poles that are, a takedown model, but I'm actually going to make one today. So this is a piece of river cane that I harvested last year. Now it's got a slight bow to it from the rack I had it drying on, but overall I think it's going to work out just fine. So first thing I'm going to do, at each node of the river cane there's a small nub, and that's where a small shoot was coming out of it, and I stripped it off before I dried it, but I just did a real quick job of it. I'm going to do a little more thorough job today. I'm going to try to get this as close to the node as possible. And you can see with a smart, sharp enough tool like this, you can, go ahead and use regular chest lever grips and do a good job cleaning this up. Okay, so now I have this thing deburred. The next step is I'm going to establish halfway, and then somewhere in that node I'm going to make my cut and make it a two-piece job. So the quickest, easiest way to find dead center on an object like this in a woodland setting is just use a piece of string. Okay. So this is full length. I'll take this down to the halfway mark again, or to the end, and that'll give me my halfway. And it looks like this node right here is center. Now, regardless of where exactly center is, I'm going to cut center of this node because I'm going to put a support piece in here that's going to let me break the cane pole down and put it back together again. Okay, so the Baco did a nice job. I've got a clean cut and two pieces just about halfway. And if you look, this is almost dead center. I'm not exactly sure where the tip's going to end up being yet. If I come back one node, that's going to be within a half-inch of dead center. And this is more than good enough for what I'm doing. What I'm doing here is I'm going to friction fit a small branch that's going to, span both halves of the node. So I've got a good cut on here, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap both of these when I do get this piece fit, just to keep it from, flailing open from repeated use. but one side fits pretty good so far. I'm bottomed out in that node. Now I'm going to get myself a length on the cross piece. That's going to be right here. Okay, so I am maybe 1/8 of an inch long on this. Good. Okay, so here's the seam. And it's actually a little tighter into the top half rather than bottom, but I don't really care. I'm going to try to take a light camphor off this edge again of the pole itself to keep the splinters down, and then I'm going to wrap this area with paracord, or I'm sorry, with bank line. Okay, so here's the support for the river cane node. So I left myself a loop on this wrapping. I'm going to put the tail through the loop. Here it's pulling through and tightening all this up. There. That'll dress it up, make it look a little better, and the main thing is it'll keep the bamboo from, or the river cane from blowing out. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so here's the two halves. This is the plug sticking out of the bottom, so that's gonna skew it a little bit as far as where my halfway point is. But I think I may cut this very end off. I haven't quite decided yet. But this is, you know, I'm 6 foot, so this is about 5 foot more or less. So I have a 10-foot cane pole, now packable to 5 foot. Now I'm going to make a real simple line holder, and I'm going to make an eye for the end of this. So I have a small safety pin here. I'm going to try to cut that and make a small loop on the end of the pole here, make an eye. I don't know how well that's going to work. This pin's pretty small. It's not a vital component to the pole, but it'd be nice to have. So hopefully this will cut off without a whole lot of objections. Okay. And if I could get a little bend on this, I'd be a happy guy. Well, that's on there. I don't know how well that's going to work. It's under tension of the spring itself. I think I'm going to tie it into place also with a little bit of bank line. So before I trim it off, here is the eye, and then I've got it lashed into place. So I'm going right through the eye and down the node. So that should work pretty well. Now I am not only utilizing this eye to hold the line on, so I'm going to have a hold of the fishing line way back at the other end. So I'm going to make a line holder, you know, at this end of the pole. I'm going to run the line all the way up, you know, through the eye, and then put a leader on the end. That way, in case the pole breaks or my splice breaks or the eye breaks, I'm still holding on to the fish directly with a piece of line. So using that, I'm fairly comfortable with this for an eye. I'm going to trim the line off and we'll go ahead and start making the line holder. So for the line holder, I've got an old fireboard from my bow drill set I've got laying around here. I'm going to grab the skinniest end of this and I'll make a cut real quick. Make it about as wide as my hand. So once I'd established my width, which I want about palm width plus a finger, I came in about 2 fingers and made a cut, and then I'm going to baton this off real quick. Okay. Here's the line winder, and this is not a reel. No way, shape, or form is this going to be a reel. This is only going to hold line when it's in its broke down configuration. So I measured off 6 times the length of half of this. So You figure I'm usually, if this is a 10-foot pole, I'm happy with the 20-foot line. That gives me my 10-foot plus an extra length to swing out to get me a little further away from the bank. This doubled that. Now this is not something where I'm going to count on this to hold extra line. This would just be in an instance where it would break, is the only reason I give it extra. So my cane pole project is complete now. This is a takedown cane pole. This is about 10 foot in length, and I made a line holder, and that's all lashed into place with bank line. This has about 3 times as much line on it as I need, and with the line holder in the back like this, a fish that's bigger than I anticipated catching on this cane pole gets on and actually breaks the pole. You know, I'm holding on to something. I've still got the string, I've still got the line winder, so I've got less risk of not catching the fish. So I can also, you know, give myself more line if I want to. Maybe I come up upon a stream and I can, you know, make a quick flick out into the main stream and then kind of unwind the line and let it fly, maybe go downstream. So it's a lot more versatile with a line winder like this. The end, I made this with a safety pin. And then for takedown, this is an overhand knot, and then I'm going to make a monofilament leader, and I can put that on right at the water's edge. And the figure 8 passes through the eye of the pole, so I don't have any knots to do or undo when I get where I'm going. So when I'm done fishing, you know, I take the leader off, pull the eye through, pull the figure 8 knot through the eye like I just showed, you know, grab my stringer of fish. The winder holds all the line. I can tuck that into place. And then here is the 2-piece takedown feature, right on one node. I made a dowel and then reinforced both pieces of cane with bank line lashing, and then it folds about in half. So I go from 10 foot, you know, to about 5 feet. No line that's not accounted for. All I need is this and a couple hooks, a couple sinkers, and, you know, a couple feet of monofilament, and I'm good to go. So this has been a fun project to work on. However, a fishing pole that hasn't caught a fish yet is no good. So I do have to try this out. I have to get a fish on it, but that's going to be another day. So this is Jamie Boggs with Burning River Bushcraft. See you next time.